Hello class and welcome back to another lesson. Okay, so another quick lesson that I'm hoping that will help you during your virtual meetings for those that still have them, right? Okay, so this video or this lesson was inspired from a conversation I had with a potential client to help teach some workshops a couple weeks ago. So, how to improve your virtual meetings when it comes to your presentation skills as well as your public speaking skills. So, I'm going to focus on 3 tips. Now, there are a lot more, but I just want to cover these 3 because I'm hoping that they are simple enough where you can apply immediately. Okay, so with that being said, let's move on to the 3 tips. So, the first tip, as simple as this sounds, it's very, very effective, and I would say it's necessary, but it's up to you. The first tip is face the camera slash audience. Face literally your laptop. Now, I noticed this issue more specifically a couple weeks ago when I had a conversation with this individual who wanted to bring me on board to host workshops for her team. Immediately, I was turned off, and I didn't want the job because she literally didn't face me. So at the beginning of the meeting, she had her body like this, and then she was talking to me, turning her head and stuff like that. Now I get it. You're busy, but the reality is I'm busy as well, and everyone that's watching is busy as well. So imagine if I'm teaching you right now with my body facing this way and looking at the camera like this. How would you feel? What would you think? You're probably assuming that you're like, oh, this person doesn't like me, or this person isn't giving me their full attention, which is exactly what it is, right? We say so much with our body language. So immediately, when I dove into that Zoom call to kind of just figure out whether or not we'd be a good fit, I was immediately kind of annoyed, right? Because you set up this meeting, you wanted to bring me on board. I never asked for this. I was recommended from one of my old colleagues, and then she said I'm the best that she's ever heard, the best public speaker she's ever witnessed, and then recommended to her sister. Sister recommends me to the head, whatever, right? It's a long story. But I was initially turned off. And the same thing could be applied if you do that to someone of a higher position or someone, just anyone. It's the simple respect of give me your attention. Please, at the very least, give me your full attention for this set period of time. I'm not going to waste it. So please don't waste mine. So simple, please face the audience. And a good tip is make sure your torso and is facing towards the camera. So right now here's a camera. I'm having my torso face you all. Now a more effective tip, or just to add to that tip, is if you can, have your toes, your feet pointed towards the camera as well. And the reason why I like this particular tip is that it almost kind of forces your body to be facing the audience. Again, as an audience member, what would you prefer? Me talking to you like this, or me talking to you like this, right? It's just simple professionalism and simple respect. Obviously, you'd prefer the former. It feels like I'm actually talking to you, even though we don't know each other, right? So please face the camera, because after that incident, I got very, very annoyed because I felt disrespected, especially when I shouldn't have been put in that position. But I digress. Okay, moving forward, second tip. I've said this a lot in my previous lessons, but I want to reiterate because it's very, very important. When you're in virtual meetings, take more pauses. So the difference between me right now in this instructional lesson and me in virtual meetings is that the timing and the speed differs from your expectations. So right now in this virtual lesson, you have the luxury of rewinding this video. And the reality is that most of y'all might even play this video in the background, right? As background noise. So most people were kind of used to just playing video, podcast, lessons, etc. as background noise. So we're not trying to, so in reality, we're not really paying attention to every single word, right? Because we treat audio, podcast, lessons, a lot of that stuff as background noise. That's what we're used to. However, when you're in a virtual meeting, there is this expectation that you should be focused and you should be paying attention to everything. But the reality is that, sure, I'm giving you time, I'm giving you my attention in real time, but the reality is that my mind is wandering elsewhere, especially if we're working remotely, right? If we're working remotely, there's a lot more distractions around us, right? Maybe your family is in the background, maybe your child is there, etc. So understand that if you are in a remote working environment, think about where everyone is, and also think about some distractions that they probably have. Because the reality is that it is a lot more difficult to really pay attention during virtual meetings. Why? Because the reality is that you probably don't even need to know every single thing that's being said during virtual meetings. Because a lot of people don't care, right? So, how do we take that information and use that to our advantage? Simple. So if my audience is already distracted, if they're going to go into that meeting distracted because they came in late, they just woke up, they don't want to be at the meeting, right? Then that means that, okay, because people don't want to pay attention, I need to make their lives easier. And I need, at the very least, to help them walk away with the necessary information. So, for example, let's say the point of my presentation for that virtual meeting is to update my team on my project, right? And let's say there's 3 pieces of information that are very, very vital to remember. So, what I need to do is, right before I introduce these vital pieces of information, I should pause. Because what does pausing do? It creates silence. And during meetings, especially just in this generation, silence is such a luxury, right? We rarely ever get silence now. So silence, when you hear that, especially during a virtual meeting, your ears perk up, or your attention is grabbed, which gives people time to kind of like, oh, what's going on? And once you have people's attention during those little pauses, then you can deliver the very, very important information. Because again, you need to realize that this is a rough estimate. Only 20% of what you present and say is actually probably going to be remembered. The other 80%, people are going to forget. Because 1, people don't care enough, people are distracted. 2, people might be distracted. 3, people just might be tired, right? They might be stressed out. So the reality is that the majority of what you're saying and what you're presenting will not be remembered. The same thing for this video. You're not going to remember every single thing I say. You're only going to remember the key important messages and lessons from this video. And that will probably translate to 20%, if not less, of this entire video, right? Okay, so take pauses, especially right before very, very, very important information that your audience needs to know. Okay, last tip, use transition words. So if you haven't watched it yet, please watch my video and lesson on using transition words. It's very, very, very helpful, and I wished more people would do it. So it'd be a lot easier for this world, right? It'd be a lot easier to communicate with people if they would just use transition words. But as a quick refresher, transition words are words such as first, second, third, moving forward, lastly, on to the next topic, etc. You can either use transition words or phrases. Now, transition words or phrases is exactly what the name entails. They are words or phrases that help you move forward or transition into the next idea. So, if you are expected to present 5 new different pieces of information during your meeting, if there are 5 new updates, then you should probably say first, this update, second, this update, third, this update, fourth, this update, finally, this update. Notice how just by using first, second, third, fourth, fifth, it helps break up that information into a list. And a lot of what we read nowadays is very much structured into a bullet point, right? Here's or even emails, right? A lot of our emails, probably from your bosses and employees, a lot of it is broken down into bullet points. So use that your advantage. Use transition words similar to bullet points, right? First bullet point, second bullet point, third bullet point, fourth. But obviously, instead of saying bullet point, you would say first, second, third, fourth, fifth. Okay, those are those 3 tips. They are easy to apply immediately, but obviously it takes time to really build that muscle memory so you can really control and remember to use these tips effectively. But please, please, please use them. They will make your life so much easier, but more importantly, they'll make your audience's life a lot easier. And that's what communication is, right? In order to be an effective communicator, you need to understand your audience and help try to provide them with the information that you want to provide them with, simply put. Okay, so this is another lesson. Hopefully it was helpful. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments section below. If I have time, or I'll find some time to hopefully answer some of your questions in a future video. Just let me know what issues you have with communication and public speaking, and I'll try to give you some short lessons. Okay, until next time, everyone, take care.